Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today in Turris Academy. My name is Michal Hrusecky, and I will be guiding you through today's session. Uh, Last time, we spoke about unboxing. We showed you what you can find inside a box of Turris Omnia, and we guided you through the first setup so you could see by yourself that it's not so hard and easy and how it looks like and what you can expect. If you missed our first session, you can find it on our YouTube channel. Today, we will be talking about VPNs in general and OpenVPN in particular. If you have some questions, you can either put it into our Zoom chat or you can use Slido, and we will go through all the questions in the end. If it is not connected to VPN, don't be afraid to ask even general questions about tourist routers. This session will be a mix of live talk and pre-recorded videos that I will be sharing with you. And I will start with a few slides about VPNs in general and how do they work. Let's start by talking about VPNs in general. What you are trying to achieve is basically when you are on the move somewhere with just an internet access and you want to connect back to the network and have full access to all the resources that are available on that network, but at the same time you don't want to provide any attackers that might be on the way with the way in. If you want to achieve that, there are multiple options for you. I will mention just the most well-known ones, and I will start from the newest and the coolest one. You might have heard about WireGuard. It's the new cool kid on the block. It comes with modern technologies. It's extremely simple, and if you ever configured a network and you still remember something about that, it's actually not that hard to set up. It also has an option to connect directly between all the peers. You don't need the central server, and it is really fast. The disadvantage is that although it is simple to set up for somebody who has some experience with configuring network, on the other hand, everybody who sets it up, even the clients, because there is no real server, have to have some experience with network setup. Next one I will mention just briefly, IPsec. It's been around for a long time, it's well supported, it works, but it's really complex to set up and doesn't bring that much advantages. It's faster than OpenVPN, slower than WireGuard. And the last one that I want to talk about is OpenVPN. OpenVPN has one great advantage. It has a server and it has a client. Server is complex to set up and there is plenty of options that you can choose. But once you've done that, the client setup is extremely easy. And I consider that quite a big advantage for OpenVPN. And it's also been around for a long time, so it is also well supported. And there are clients basically for every platform. Let's take a look at how OpenVPN works and why is it so simple from end user's point of view, and later on what sysadmin has to do to make it work. If we take a look at how initial connection works, basically you have your mobile device that have some certificate and it gets authenticated by server. They exchange keys, establish secure encrypted tunnel, and then server pushes all the configuration to the client. So your notebook will receive IP addresses, DNS servers, some routes to set up, and basically everything is driven directly by the server. If you change any configuration in your network, you just need to update the server and the client will receive different set of IP addresses on next connection, different DNS server, different routes, and everything is set up differently, and you don't have to worry your users about changing some configuration somewhere, changing configuration files or anything. Everything simply works from the user's point of view. That's utterly convenient, and it's one of the reasons why we choose OpenVPN to implement it in Turris OS and make even the server management easy. Tricky part about OpenVPN, apart from that it has many options that you can configure, is that for it to function you need a certification authority and distribution of keys. System of certification authorities is based on asymmetric cryptography. You basically have public key and private key for your CA, and you use those to sign other certificates, and other people can use your public key to verify that you actually signed them. Therefore, for OpenVPN to work, you need to first generate your own CA, and for each of the devices you need to generate its own key pair and sign it by certification authority. All of those devices have public key of certification authority, so whenever they establish connection to other device, they can verify that the device also have a key signed by the same certification authority and that they can trust each other. This key management is not something entirely easy, so we decided to make it easier. And apart from distributing all the keys that are needed, you also need to distribute configuration files for OpenVPN. We took both key generation and configuration files generation and put it together into simplified web user interface to make it easy even for somebody who is not IT professional. That was some basic introduction into what VPN is good for, how you can use it, and why you might actually want some. And yeah, as I mentioned, we were trying to make VPN setup much easier and simplify it for even the average user. And we did that by integrating server management and client management into our web user interface. Now I will go to the next step and I will show you how it actually works when you try to set up OpenVPN server on your Turris router. Let's take a look on how to set up OpenVPN server on your Turris router. First, we need to go to the web user interface. We will select Reforis, which is the default anyway. And login. we end up in the overview screen. First thing we need to do is to install OpenVPN. We do that in Package Management, Packages, and here we find OpenVPN. Check it, save, and wait for the notification that it was installed. Now we have it installed, so let's set it up. We have now OpenVPN in the menu, and we have several options. We have client settings that we will talk about later. We have client registration and server settings. Let's start with the server settings. For OpenVPN to work, we need a certificate authority. We can generate one right here with the click of a button. Now we need to wait for a little bit. Once CAA is generated, you can either enable the server or delete CAA again. Deleting the CAA would be no fun, so let's enable the server. We don't need to change anything here. But what might be interesting is changing your VPN network address if you run into some conflicts, like your work network or local network uses the same prefix. And you might also want to consider routing all traffic via VPN. What it does is when your client connects to the server, in this case to your router, it will encrypt all your internet traffic and route everything through your home router. That's useful if you are in a foreign country or somewhere where you don't trust local ISP. In the same way, you can use DNS of your home router from the VPN. Unless you are using DNS over TLS or DNS over HTTPS, DNS is the easiest way how to track where you are browsing. So think about whether you need to hide all your traffic when you are connected to the VPN and decide which one of those check. One reminder, if you decide to route all traffic via VPN, your speed will be kept at what your home connection is and what your connectivity to your home router is. So you might end up with a slower internet connection than if you use the local ISP directly. So let's save it. And let's take a look at the next step, client registration. What you can do here is to generate client configuration for your devices that are traveling the world. You need to give each of them some name. So let's call our first one cell phone and add it. Now certificates for the client device are being created. We can either revoke all certificates that are associated with the cell phone, or we can download the configuration, put it on our cell phone, and connect to our router. We will take a look at the configuration file later. One more thing that is available is option to override server address. If you have a dynamic public IP address, you might want to check this box and fill in your dynamic DNS name that will get inserted into the VPN configuration automatically, so you will always connect to the right IP address. So what's inside the configuration file? First, definition that we are a client. Now let's take a look at the configuration file. Protocol, port, IP address. In my case, I'm using a testing router, so it's the local IP address automatically discovered from my WAN interface. If I replaced it with a dynamic DNS name, it will point to the DNS entry. And if you have public IP address, it will appear here. Some more settings. And the important part is that the configuration file contains embedded CA certificate and also client certificate and client private key. So everything you need to get connected to the VPN is in one configuration file. That is important because you just need to copy this file to your client device, enter it into the client, and you are connected. So that was how you set up the server. One thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning is that I'm showing this on the upcoming release of TurrisOS 5.2, where we will be greatly enhancing our web user interface. We are switching from old Forest user interface to new one called Reforest. That's why it might not look like what you have on your router right now, but shortly we will release 5.2 and you will have the same interface as it was shown. So I recorded the videos so it could last longer. If you are interested in the previous version, there is a documentation available on our website, and we also did a video of the previous version as well. But yeah, just wait a little bit or join our testing community, and you can take a look at 5.2 and new Reforest. Now, when we talk about how to set up the server, what you can do is also set up the client. I'm not going to cover various devices, like how to set it up on Android, how to set it up in KDE, how to set it up in GNOME. You can find plenty of tutorials everywhere about the particular OS slash desktop environment, about how to set up OpenVPN. But I want to show you one more interesting use case, and that is setting up OpenVPN on your router directly. That way, all the devices that are in your LAN network are connected to the VPN and can access resources available on the VPN. That's a new functionality that we added into Reforest, and I will show you how it looks like right now. By the way, if you are watching us right now live, there is a poll that I put on Slido, so you can just drop by and vote for what is your favorite VPN connection and how you use VPN yourself. We will take a look at that at the end. So let's take a look at the client. Now let's talk about how to set up OpenVPN client on your Turris router. Why would you do that? Well, you might want to connect a small local branch office, or you might want to connect somebody on home office that is having a hard time setting up directly on the computer. So we have OpenVPN already installed. We go to the OpenVPN menu, client settings, and what we have here is an option to select the file that we want to upload. Open it and upload settings. Now you can see that I have a Turris instance of OpenVPN and it's running. I can delete it if I want. I can upload more VPN connections. I can enable and disable them. And also, if I go take a look at overview, I see that I have a Turris OpenVPN client that is not running because I disabled it. And if I enable it back and wait for it to connect, now it's running. Here I can see a green check mark saying that I'm connected to the VPN. And based on the settings on my VPN server, either part of my traffic goes to the VPN, to the remote network, or even all my traffic can be routed to the network and I can be hidden behind the VPN and, for example, appear to be like browsing from a different country. Or if I take a small tourist box with me on my travels, I can use it to browse to my local country and, for example, watch the local television and stuff like that. And also be protected from spying from local governments wherever I go. So that was how to set up the client. And now let's take a look at your questions and discuss what you were interested in. We have active poll. I will show you the results. Yeah, we have people that are actually using our VPN client and our VPN server configuration in Reforis. That's great to hear. And we also have people that is using something else. We don't have anybody using IPsec. That's understandable. So let's talk about the question. Is there a plan to integrate WireGuard administration into Reforis / Lucy? We are thinking about that. We are about the Reforis part. Um, we would like to have it implemented in a way that it would be similarly simple than OpenVPN that I just showed you. And currently we haven't found a good reliable solution. At some point we might implement it anyway to help you with the setup. But WireGuard advantage is that the setup is not as hard as the one for OpenVPN. And as I said previously, you don't have a server client. You have to set up the same things on both. So yeah, it's much easier than OpenVPN. So integration in referees wouldn't help you that much. And on the other hand, it's not that easy on the client side. So yeah, we are still thinking about how to make it so it will help you as much as possible. But there is already some implementation of WireGuard protocol in Lucy. You can just install packages. If you search between the packages for Lucy and WireGuard keywords, you find protocol support and some other management stuff. I don't remember the exact name of the package. And then you add a new network in network interfaces. And as a protocol, you select the WireGuard, and then you can configure your peers, keys, and stuff like that. But if you do it this way, you have to use the UC unified configuration interface for setting up everything. So you cannot reuse the configuration file that you are currently using on your computer. So plans to integrate referees into plans to integrate WireGuard into referees. We are thinking about it. So far, we have no specific plans how to do that, and obviously no idea when we will do it. But yeah, we are very interested into WireGuard, and for Lucy part, it's already there. When did companies started using VPNs? Is it a new technology? No, companies has been using VPNs for a long time, and yeah, I admit I don't know when it started, but I remember that I was using VPN, yeah, when I was at university, and I haven't uh, I haven't been using it before because I didn't have internet before. So that's something like yeah, almost 20 years ago. So it's been around for a long time. Does upgrade of Omnia from Turris OS to Turris OS 5 preserve all OpenVPN settings like CI certificates and keys, generated client configs, firewall rules, etc.? Well, it depends partially on the way how you do the upgrade. If you do the upgrade via button that you have in voice interface or via the guide that we have on our documentation side, and you do the real upgrade, then yes, it preserves all these settings. Alternative, and for plenty of people, easier way how to do upgrade from Turris OS 3 to Turris OS 5 is just refresh it with new OS, and that will obviously not maintain anything. Why we haven't upgraded everybody from Turris OS 3 to Turris OS 5 is that we are constantly trying various use cases, and from time to time we still find corner cases when it doesn't preserve all the settings. Not speaking about OpenVPN, but in general, and we are still polishing that. Once we will be confident enough that it will migrate seamlessly almost everybody, we will push it out as a next update, and we will migrate everybody from Turris OS 3 to Turris OS 5. But you can help us by going by our guide, and then if something breaks, reporting to us what broke, and we will try to fix it for other people. What is the estimated network throughput of OpenVPN on Omnia? I'm moving to fiber connection. Is the OpenVPN able to saturate at least 60 megabits? I was doing some benchmarks, and I was able to get 100 megabits from OpenVPN in default setup. If you switch to WireGuard, I was able to get more than 700. So that's the difference we are talking about. So 60 megabits should be fine for Omnia. But if you switch to WireGuard, you can saturate the 600 megabits. How to configure routing table of client if I have more complicated network? Well, if you have a more complex network, then unfortunately, it wouldn't help you that much from reference. Actually, there are two options. Either you go to configuration file that we generated for you, and you edit some of the options, like you can manually specify to push additional routes to the clients, and that's the server configuration file, and then you can modify it and use our web user interface just for client configuration files and generating the certificates and all the signing and all the boring stuff. Or if you do the routing of all traffic, then obviously all your clients would be going through the Omnia, and all the roads that are set up on the Omnia will apply to them. So that's much easier, but much less effective. So if you are confident enough, go to the server configuration file and add manually few extra routes to push. Make sure if they are going through Omnia that you have also correctly set up firewall, so it wouldn't block those this traffic. Or if you are not confident enough that you will be able to make it manually, you can push all the traffic to Omnia, and it will route as you have set up in your Omnia. But if you have a complex routing table, I expect that you would be able to configure additional routes in OpenVPN server configuration by yourself. When the Turris OS 5.2 will be available in testing branch, and please get us 5.2 before Easter. Well, as far as I know, Easter is on Monday, so and Friday is public holidays in Czech Republic, and it's not a good idea to release on the last working day, so there wouldn't be a stable release of 5.2 before Easter. And regarding the testing branch, we are continuously working on it, and we are doing quite some testing. As I said, we are switching from voice interface to completely new one, which has some features are reworked, some features are new, and during the testing, we already almost released the testing branch, but then we found some issue that we considered quite serious. So I can't promise you the exact date, but it's going to happen soon. Currently, it's available in HBK branch. If you read about how to do testing, basically we have branches named after various animals. The most dangerous one is dragons, and the one that most people are using is snails. And between there are various other animals that are variously dangerous, like kittens, lions, and currently 5.2 moved from dragons to lions to kittens, and now all that is left is turtles and snails. So testing is the turtles, but we have it just a step before that. So next release will definitely be 5.2. We will we will not release any additional fix up for 5.1, and I hope that it will be very soon. But we wouldn't release it to general public before Easter. We wouldn't make it. If there would be some issue, it would be bad to ruin your Easter with that. But if you want to help us test it, you can switch to Kittens branch and take a look at it. It's pretty stable now. We are just polishing virus corner cases, and we will release to the testing branch soon. So if that is all, and nobody has any additional comments or questions, then thank you all for joining us, and maybe see you next time. And if you haven't, check out our YouTube channel. Thank you and bye.